Hello, I am Luzanne van Merwe and I am a Senior Skills Development Facilitator here at SEESA Pretoria.
Hi, my name is Hein Pretorius, also a Senior Skills Development Facilitator at SEESA.
What is the topic for today? It's the 5 steps to implement an employment equity plan. Now Hein, I know in your previous podcast you also discussed employment equity and the duties of a designated employer. And one of the factors of a designated employer is to draw up an employment equity plan. Maybe you can just recap us on what is an employment equity plan.
Yes, Luzanne, very true. It's one of the duties of a designated employer is to have a valid employment equity plan. Let's start off by saying valid, signed off. Very, very important. So after that, what is an employment equity plan? It's a document valid from 1 to 5 years, preferably on a 3-year cycle. It contains all your numerical goals and targets, which is your growth to achieve the employment equity or the employment active population as such. It has all your CCMA matters, what you will do, your dispute resolutions, your barriers, affirmative action measures, and a time period, as well as roles and responsibilities allocated to certain people in the company. Employment equity plan is not just a document to be placed up for display, but to be consulted every day and in every meeting.
Yes, thank you very much. And then there are 5 steps to implement an employment equity plan. I'll just briefly discuss the first 3 because they incorporated. It is to analyze your employment practices, it is to analyze your policies and procedures, and then to identify affirmative action measures. So analyze your employment practices, that's where you identify your recruitments and promotions, and that must be in line with your employment equity plan. And then also, as you said, it needs to be discussed. So during your consultation, you need to discuss and identify the people that you want to promote and the people that you want to recruit, and that needs to be sourced from designated groups. And then, of course, analyze your policies and procedures. First of all, you can consult with your relevant STF to identify certain barriers within the company. With each and every barrier that you identify, there must be an affirmative action measure that accompanies that barrier to show how you will overcome these barriers, and then who will be responsible to then address those affirmative action measures and make sure that it is overcome. The policies and procedures are if you are struggling to identify certain barriers within your company, like I said, you consult your relevant STF. And if you're struggling to then implement certain policies, let's for instance say remuneration policy that's coming up, that's a big factor at the moment due to the EEA4 remuneration changes, please consult our Labour Department. They can assist you with implementing a policy that's specific to your company and the industry that you're operating under. So that's the first 3, is analyze your employment practices, identify your policies and procedures, and then identify your affirmative action measures to overcome barriers. Maybe you can just close on the last 2.
Yes, the last 2 would basically also link together as such. It'll be to analyze your recruitment procedures. For that we mean, you already mentioned, we have to earmark certain people in the company or previously disadvantaged individuals as such, now known as designated groups. For that we have to earmark where do we want to grow with the employment equity active population as such, where are we overrepresented, underrepresented, and then what's the goal of the target of the company. A link towards that will also then be to link your employment equity plan to your development or training plan as such. Now this is where your STF comes in and help you, as well as SEESA. We submit your employment equity plan or reports, as well as your workplace skills planning as such. One part of employment equity is skills development. This section is specifically for the development of previously disadvantaged individuals or so, for them to enrich their job, to succeed, experience planning, which can also be a barrier as such, and to retain them in the company. This can lead to possible promotions as such. Please just remember all promotions is a raise in pay as well as new duties and accountabilities. Yes. Okay. Very important, these 2 factors linked to the first 3 is then how to implement your employment equity plan. As said earlier, you have to discuss your employment equity plan. You can revise and update it. It will remain valid for the period as set out in the beginning, but you are more than welcome to always add to that employment equity plan when and as is discussed in the employment equity meetings. Should you need any other assistance with your employment equity submissions or how to implement your employment equity plan, please feel free to consult your STF at SEESA or to phone us for more assistance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.